We have to be charitable and forgiving. And this is the only way we come to unity after this. And I don't want to demonize people who demonized me. I don't want to be angry at people that called me an anti-vaxxer or, listen, man, I had Dr. Peter Hotez on early. I had Michael Osterholm on early, and I had him on again. I mean, I had all these people on early, and the Osterholm podcast freaked so many people out. I did it the very early days of the pandemic, before there was a vaccine, and Osterholm was painting a picture that was absolutely fucking terrifying, and it terrified me, and it made me want to get vaccinated. It made a lot of people like looking forward to that vaccine, and when you have this narrative in your mind, and then you see people that are somehow or another the enemy of that narrative in your mind, or a problem in that they're going to cause more problems for you and for other people and for vulnerable people. Even logically, it didn't make sense, because the vaccine did stop the virus in its tracks. Why would you be angry at people that don't take it? Because they're just going to be vulnerable. Why would you be angry? You should be sad. You should be trying to convince them. Like the only way to convince them that works is with love and understanding, and to communicate with them in a way that's going to reach them. If you call people an idiot and a fool or a monster or demonize them and say, laugh when they die. I mean, there was this woman who's a famous food writer who demonized people, and she did it in a way where she was saying that the only good side was that the people that were dying were all these anti-vaxxers, and that somehow or another that was good, that these people that didn't trust the pharmaceutical companies, the companies that have had more criminal punishments, more fines for criminal behavior than virtually any industry that's ever existed, more lying about the adverse effects and the adverse reactions that people possibly could have or were going to have about these drugs that they pushed, where we have internal memos where they describe, like in terms of Vioxx, they describe these potential bad side effects that are going to happen, but also say, but we will do well with these. We have those. We have that evidence.
Yep.
So these people that got duped, I have nothing but love for them. And I think the only way we're going to get out of this is if we forgive them. And people are so hesitant to do that. And they're like, fuck them, fuck this, fuck that. You can't have a society with fuck them. Because we are them. They are us. I could have been one of them. If I wasn't doing this fucking podcast, okay? If I was just a regular comedian and that's what I did for a living, and I didn't pay much attention to alternative media and podcasts that were discussing this, and people like Peter McCullough or Robert Malone or all these people that were sounding the alarm, if I was one of those people that didn't have the access to these kind of conversations, I would not have a nuanced perspective. And if I had gotten vaccinated and other people didn't, I would be like, fuck those people. I would be just like people I know who I used to be friends with, who now hate me and are angry at me and talk shit about me online. And I forgive them, because I would have been like them if I didn't have the access to the kind of conversations that I've had, if I didn't have the kind of mindset that I have, my personality that is just immune to bullshit. When bullshit hits me, I go, oh, I know what this is. I grew up without a dad, okay? I don't trust people. I think there's a lot of bullshit in the world. You know, I've had people try to do things to me. I've been in dangerous situations. I know people can be sketchy. There's sketchy fucking people out there in the world. And the people that haven't experienced that and don't have that perspective, I can understand why they formed the conclusions that they did, because I could have been them. I 100% could have been them. The only way that we can help each other is for people like you and people like me and other people that have had these other perspectives, the Aaron Rodgers of the world, these people that have been demonized, to forgive people. And if we don't do that, we just continue these ideological tribes that battle each other and move the goalposts, because we saw the goalposts get moved when it turned out that, well, COVID doesn't, or the vaccines don't stop transmission. They don't stop infection. They don't stop you from getting sick. We saw that happen, and then we saw the narrative change. You know, we knew that, and we knew that it was just going to prevent you from serious illness. Well, why were you mad at me when I didn't get seriously ill? Why were people mad at me? Like, what? Because I didn't do what they did. And they thought they did the right thing, and I didn't do the right thing. And I'm some crazy kook who believes in the flat earth and fucking chemtrails or whatever the fuck you want to attribute to it. And that's the reason why. And I'm promoting dangerous misinformation that actually turns out to be true. That's what's so crazy about all this.
I totally agree. Now, let's sort this out. I'm arguing that we should be forgiving of people who made this error naturally, which is almost everybody. What I'm arguing is beyond that line for me, where I'm not ready to forgive, is if they are continuing to do it.
The only way they're going to stop is if we don't fight it. We just I feel like you have to present the information that seems to be true and valid. And I understand why people came to incorrect conclusions, why they have uncharitable perspectives about people that did not get vaccinated. I understand them. But I can't hate them, because I could have been them.
Well, I'm not arguing to hate anybody.
But even if they're doing it right now, like that lady just tweeted that right now. Sean Penn recently said that he thinks that unvaccinated people should have been jailed. I mean, I don't hate him. He shouldn't be speaking on this, right? He's just famous. Because he's famous, his words carry weight. He could have been a guy at a bar that, you know, works for some fucking trucking company or something. And he has this perspective. Oh, we should fucking jail him. But it doesn't mean he's informed, right? It just means he's talking. And because he's talking and he says something that turns out to be incorrect, and he happens to be famous, then it becomes broadcast everywhere. I forgive him too. I forgive all these people with these wrong perspectives, because that's the only way we get out of this. And if we don't do that, then we head into further and further polarization. And this is what I'm scared of. What I'm scared of is that people dig their fucking heels in and just decide that all these people that didn't get vaccinated are all a bunch of MAGA supporting, racist, xenophobic, homophobic, transphobic assholes, and we hate assholes. They did it out of hate. And that's what that lady's saying. She's like, hook, line, and sinker. They did it out of hate. which is crazy to say, especially if you might have known someone who had an adverse effect early on, which I did. I know a few people that got really wrecked early on. Friends of mine, comedians. I know people that are in their 30s that have pacemakers now. I know people that have had adverse effects. There was a recent poll that suggested that 28% of Americans know someone who died from the vaccine. That's purely anecdotal. Now, do we know that that person actually died of the vaccine? We don't. There's some evidence that people have absolutely had an adverse event that happened because of the vaccine, particularly young children who all of a sudden got myocarditis or heart attacks and strokes and died. There's a very reasonable connection that you can make to this young, very healthy athlete who gets a COVID vaccine and then immediately has a heart attack and dies. Hey, this might be the cause. Is there a mechanism that shows that the vaccine under rare conditions can cause that in people? Turns out yes, right? So I understand where all these people came from. And I really feel this very strongly. The only way we get out of this is all the people that were demonized and all the people that were called kooks, and just continue to be kind and generous and charitable and say, I get it. I get why you formed those opinions. I get why you were mad. I get why you followed this narrative, and I get why you dug your heels in, and I clearly get why you use social media to project this, to comfort yourself that you're on the right side of history, you're in the right group of people, and to also punish those people who didn't do what you did to reinforce your opinion in yourself that you did the right thing.